Iowa Staters, welcome to the first episode of the Iowa State of Things podcast. Today, we're going to be interviewing your president and vice president of the student body, Martin and Quinn, to hear about some of the awesome stuff they've done this semester and then over the summer. Enjoy the first episode of the Iowa State of Things. All right, Martin and Quinn, it's super awesome to have you guys on. You and me have spoken, and I know that this has been a really exciting semester for you guys, and it started with a really exciting and busy summer, and then now you guys were running on to the end of the fall semester, and you guys have done a ton of stuff. But how do you guys feel? How was it like? What was it like being president and vice president of the student body for the last semester?
Great to see you, Elijah. Could not be more excited about this podcast, and thank you for being the official host. We really appreciate your leadership. It's been a crazy semester so far. We've done a lot of work, a lot of really good things, and we're so proud of what we've done in student government. We've really seen this great turnaround. And let's not forget why student government exists in the first place, and it's to better serve Iowa State University students. And we've done just that this semester, and we have so many more exciting things that we're going to be able to announce next semester too, and that's really what is really the reason why we're doing this.
No, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm really excited that we're doing this podcast. I think it's a great way to share information with students about the things we've been doing because Martin, kind of alluded to all these great things we've done this year, but students don't know about them. So I'm hoping this can be an exciting, more approachable way for us to talk about some of those things.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to hear about what you guys have done too. So just walk me through overarching macro level. What have you gu's done? What's been going on this semester?
One of the big things we ran on last year was more diverse dining options in and around Ames. And the feedback has been overwhelming. A Canes and Ames. A Canes and Ames. That's all we hear. I want one too. The Caniac's awesome. You can basically drink it. It's freaking delicious. So that's what we've been working on a big part. And so in partnership with that initiative, we've launched the Message of the Mayor program. It was one of the platform points that we ran on. There's posters all around campus. And students have the opportunity to scan a QR code or go to the brand new website we launched and fill out the form rather. And so when you fill out the form, you can give feedback that our ex officio, Emily Bolin, will take directly to the city council members. And we have seen great feedback, and a lot of it is a Canes and Ames. And so we're working really hard specifically on that. We're meeting with ISU stakeholders, the city. We've met with the city planner, Steve. I believe it's Steve, right, Quinn?
It's Steve, yeah.
Yeah, it's Steve. We've met with Mayor Hala. We just met with Dylan Klein, who works for the nonprofit Ames Economic Alliance. And really excited on all the traction that we're making on that front. We need a Canes and Ames is the big takeaway.
Yeah, Canes is coming. Canes is coming. And so what else have you guys been doing? So you had this initiative, a Message of the Mayor program. It's really cool. What else have you guys been doing this semester?
Quinn, do you want to talk about the international student opportunities that we've helped made at Iowa State?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was one of our biggest goals that we ran on too, is the fact that at Iowa State, it's about 9% international students. We have world-class international students here at Iowa State. But a lot of the times, and we, through all sorts of different organizations have been connecting with people and kind of gathering testimonials, if you're an international student, it's really hard to find an internship. And you often get an internship or are offered internships at a far lower rate than if you were a domestic student, despite the fact that our international students are extremely qualified for these positions. And so we asked ourselves, how can we kind of expand those opportunities for international students? And the first step we were able to take over the summer in partnership with, the Career Services Council, I believe.
Career Services Council.
If I have that right, Career Services Council is now, if you go to any of our career fairs, and it started this past fall, we're excited for it to continue. If you go to any of our career fairs, you're going to see a banner. If they're accepting international students, if they're willing to sponsor the visa of international students, you're going to see probably a 12, 13-inch green flag next to each of the employers' names at all these career fairs. And so really trying to make sure that students aren't waiting in line if they're not even going to be offered an internship, right? So trying to make sure that, it's more accessible when you're going to a career fair. You know who's going to be willing to sponsor you. And now we have an IDEA committee, stands for Inclusion, Diversity, Equity, Accessibility, trying to work with them. How can we inform employers about how easy it can be to sponsor an international student, right? How can we expand those opportunities that way? How can we create networks when it comes to connecting international students to employers? And so we've taken some kind of those first steps there as far as increasing those opportunities, but really excited for what we can do next.
And that's really interesting. Do we have any numbers about how this has worked, how this has felt? Have you guys talked to some of these people, some of the international students who have taken advantage of this? What kind of feedback have you guys gotten on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's hard to kind of get numbers because, it's hard to actually then go through and track who actually gets the internship. But just anecdotally, all the international students we've talked to, it's really nice, again, to not have to wait in line if you're not going to be offered an internship. So the idea of, I know this person is at least willing to sponsor me before I start that conversation with them. So it really is a helpful thing that, as an international student, it allows you to prioritize your time and make sure you're putting yourself in the best place possible to get that internship that you're qualified for.
And this is really cool. It sounds like it's just a lot of accessibility for people. We're allowing people to talk to the mayors. We're allowing people to get these jobs. And it's just a lot of forefront communication, which I think is really cool. What else have you guys been doing this semester?
Well, that really goes into our whole point that we represent people. We can't forget that. We represent 30,000 Iowa State students. They pay a student fee of $49 a semester, $98 a year. That's a huge deal. And so making sure that we're representing students is a big part of why we wanted to run in the first place. And so it goes back into building a culture in student government too, and we want a culture of professionalism. We've tried to increase our professionalism within student government because let's say you have a concerned student that comes in and we have student government, we have an open forum at our student government Senate meetings, and it allows any concerned Iowa State University student to come up, give feedback to our senators. Could you imagine if you were a student and you had a legitimate concern, like Elijah's not doing a great job on the podcast, like you had a legitimate concern, and you wanted to come up and you wanted to tell these senators that are representing you that these issues that you're having? Could you imagine going and people are just wearing sweatpants and a hoodie and they're slouching in their chair and their laptop screens are up? It's like, what? Those don't look like people that are ready to take action and serve me. Because when you go to career fair, and it goes back to career fair, how do you dress? You probably put on a polo, at least a polo, or your business casual, business professional. And why shouldn't we do that when we're representing more than just ourselves, more than one person, 30,000 people? So that's a big deal for us. So we've really worked on increasing professionalism with student government, and that's something I'm very proud of. It goes back to building a culture.
Yeah, and does that get a lot of feedback or responses from people? Have you talked to anybody who's like, I really felt heard, I really felt listened, I felt like I was entering a really professional setting? Have you guys gotten this feedback before, or?
Well, you can see in the difference of the photos that we're taking now too, just on our website, because we launched a brand new student government website. You can find it if you search up IA State. stugov.iastate.edu.
There you go. There you go.
That's what I was looking for. So that's a big part because we want to expand our professionalism across campus, and we also have brand new student government red polos. That signature polo look, and it's the same reason why do the Iowa State Cyclones, our great football team, 7-2 football team, why do they run out in the field all wearing the same uniform? It's because they're part of the same team. They're representing more than just themselves. And so that's important that we look good and we have a better unit. We just look as a team. And so you can see that too. We hosted a Board of Regents kickoff event. And so we're so incredibly proud of how that event went. We had 6 out of the 7 regents in attendance. We called it Innovation Beyond the Classroom. So we were highlighting really impressive student organizations on campus. And a lot of all student organizations on campus are impressive, but we just went with a select few. One was Society of Automotive Engineers. They built a Formula One car, a Baja car, that was in attendance. The Iowa State Rocketry Club, 14-foot tall rockets, pretty incredible thing that they're making. And it's like, oh my God. Food was prepared by the Iowa State Cattlemen. We got a food donation for the event too. And then we had the Jubilee Gospel Choir, student organization, kickstart the night with a musical performance, and it was just absolutely beautiful. And this was all hosted outside in the South Campanile lawn. And what an incredible night. And we all wore our student government polos because what's one of our big things that we do in student government? And that's advocate on behalf of students. And so by looking the part and being professional, that's 90% of the work. And then the other 10% is making sure that we're better serving students on campus.
And I think Martin makes a great point too, is, it's something that makes us look a lot more professional if you come into our meetings. So all of these clubs that are coming and getting funding from us, it's clear that we're taking their matters seriously. But like Martin was talking about with the Board of Regents, there's all sorts of events that we do out on campus too. And it makes it much clearer that we're a legitimate organization. We care about students. Like we had our Student Government Expo, for example. That was about a month and a half ago at this point. But we served pizza on Central Campus. All of our different committees had a table showcasing what they do, have some infographics. Maybe they have an interactive activity of some kind. But it makes us look much more like a unified group that you'd want to be a part of.
Yeah, and I think the polos are fashionable. I think a lot of the other faculty on staff wear polos as well, and that signifies it's just like a classic red color. These people work for Iowa State, and you guys work for Iowa State. You work for the students here. As far as implementing stuff that the students can see, the polos are a really great example. What other events are you guys doing, or is there anything that you guys have done particularly, things that you have created for student access, things from the use? Like the international example is really good. The message, the mayor stuff. What other stuff are you guys doing for the students?
One great thing is letting students know about grants that they might qualify for. And so Bob Carver, our director of affordability, he's been fantastic. He works in the Office of Student Financial Aid, and through his leadership and the work that we're doing in student government, we notified a large majority of students that they may qualify for certain grants offered in Iowa. And so what the total number worked out to is $160,000 we made students aware of that they may qualify for grant money. That is not an insignificant number. Let's say one student takes $100 and it helps decrease the cost of going to college. That's a win. That's $100 is not an insignificant amount of money. And so by making students aware that they might actually have some scholarship or some grant money, they have a better chance of staying enrolled in Iowa State and graduating and having less debt that might cripple them later in the future. And so we're really proud of the work that we're doing connecting students with grant money in Iowa.
And then how are you guys connecting them with that? What should students be looking out for information like that? Is it in their email? Is it from a certain program? How do people find that information?
Sure. So there was a form that Bob actually worked to put out through a whole bunch of different academic advisors and all of the different colleges. And you could fill it out, and then based on your responses, he would reply directly to you with the grants that you're eligible for. And two really cool examples I think that students aren't really aware of is the Iowa Workforce Grant, so the ability to receive that grant funding if you stay here and work for a certain number of years after you graduate. Staying here being staying in the state of Iowa. So it's not only grants that you're eligible for while you're in college, but then even after you graduate college, how can you continue to receive grant money? And it's the Iowa Teach Grant as well. So if you're looking to serve as a teacher in
Iowa.
Yeah, in Iowa. There's some criteria as far as what school specifically, but if you're looking, I believe it's low-income schools that you have to be teaching at. If you want to teach at a low-income school, you can receive a significant amount of grant money that makes it cheaper to go to Iowa State, as long as you're willing to do that after you graduate. So it's kind of neat that there's grant money that you can receive immediately now based on what you're doing, but then also based on what you want to do after you graduate too.
Yeah, and I think that's really awesome. It seems like a lot of what your guys' platform is doing is communicating with the Iowa State students and making sure that they're aware of all of the stuff that they can do. They're aware that the student government is there for them. They see them unified like that. They're aware that they can communicate with the mayor to do these things. They're aware of the money that they can make. And I think you guys are just spreading a lot of awareness of what you guys are doing. What else are you guys doing for students, and what other awareness projects are you guys doing?
Well, what's really cool is the roommate compatibility forum. That was a big thing that Quinn and I ran on. I think I gave you an example last time I was on your Spotlight podcast where I was talking about my experience and how you just you want to be on the same page as someone, especially someone like myself from Tucson, Arizona, who I didn't know anyone before coming to Iowa State, which is a little bit scary. And you get a roommate that you might not be on the same page with. A Bears fan and a Packers fan. Like, God, you can't do that. Dude, that's awful, right? You know, one's going to bully the other one. It's probably going to be the Packers fan that's going to be bullying the Bears fan.
Right.
Yeah, that's awful, man. You don't want that situation. And just getting on the same page, too, because that's your first real connection on campus. It's going to be that person that you live in your dorms with. I mean, my little brother just went to the University of Arizona, and he's living in the dorms, and his roommate's his best friend. And lucky enough, they're on the same page. They want the same things. They're pretty similar on their major, and it's all worked out really great for him. But some people don't have that opportunity because they're not exactly sure who they're going to get. And so by having a roommate compatibility form, you're going to be better set up with who your random roommate's going to be. And so we're really proud with all the work that's happened there at the Department of Residence. And we also created a new cabinet position too through an executive order, Director of Residence Life. And because we have a lot of students in dorms, over 7,000 students are in dorms at Iowa State, and we want to better serve that group. And IRHA President Braden Fells, who's actually our Director of Residence Life, I mean, you couldn't pick a better person for that position, in my opinion. He's the president of the Inter-Residence Hall Association. That was one of the big things he worked on, too, was the roommate compatibility form, and so they just introduced it this semester. So we're very proud of all of that work.
The roommate compatibility form is really interesting. What kind of questions are you asking? Like, what are some of these important factors that is important when you're determining if roommates are compatible?
I think a big part of it is schedule. And I talked about when I was with you, the schedule difference could not be any more clear. I like to get up early in the morning. I'm a grandpa. I go to bed really early at night, too. like the sun's setting at like 5 o'clock here in Iowa. And I'm like, oh, God, I got to go to bed in like an hour.
Crazy.
No, not that bad, of course. But being on the same page with your scheduling. And that's a big deal, too. And you don't want to get someone who's a night owl that's going to be scrolling on TikTok without their headphones on at like 3 in the morning. That's the worst. Like, dude, just please stop. Save me. Yeah, exactly. Right. Or they're playing Call of Duty and the TV's just light everywhere. It's like there's a strobe going on in your dorm room. That's the worst, man. Oh my God. And like the sounds coming from their headset.
And they're talking and yelling.
Oh, dude, of course. A remote just gets thrown across the room.
At your head.
Yeah, at your head while you're in your bunk bed. Like, Yeah, that's exactly what I want. No,
Right.
no one wants that. And so just getting the scheduling on the same page is a big part.
Yeah, and that's really exciting too. It's something that maybe not a lot of people are familiar with because, like you said, it's a big proportion, but not everyone's a part of that proportion of people who live in the residence hall. So it's really nice that you guys are looking at these specific groups of people and finding ways that you can help them. And that's super true with the international students as well. Are there other specific groups that you guys are making initiative for, or group or ideas for, or
Our student
programs?
athletes. Our student athletes are a big part, and they're a group that hasn't been as best served as they could have been in student government over the last couple of years. And so we've made a very deliberate effort to work with athletics this year and also our student athletes on campus. So there's a group that represents student athletes called Student Athlete Advisory Council, and their president, Riley Beach, who runs cross country and track for Iowa State, is fantastic. And she's been such a great partner to work with. And so we've had a meeting with her, we've had a meeting with their advisor, multiple meetings actually. One of the really cool things that they do is donations for different children in and around Ames. And so we're figuring out how we can get some volunteers with them and help better serve them and get more donations for children in Ames. So that's been pretty exciting to see. And then with Riley Beach too, women's sports and some track sports at Iowa State, and this is just true for the whole country, don't have a lot of attendance. And so now we're exploring options that might be able to increase attendance at those events. We just had an Iowa State wrestling meet, and we were one of the sponsoring organizations of that meet, I believe, and they even shouted us out on the big screen. And so that was really cool, and we helped getting some of our student government members to go to that meet. And so that's a big part of what we're doing, too, is our student athletes and the Greek community. Let's not forget the Greek community, too. And so one of the really cool things that's going on with Josie Pursley, our vice speaker of our student senate, and our co-directors of sustainability, Kit and Abby. So they were able to work together with IFC and CPC and put on a trash pickup in Greek Triangle. They collected 20 garbage bags of trash in Greek Triangle. How awesome is that? And so it was a group of volunteers. I think it was even raining out too, and they still went out there. I mean, very Iowa, just went out there and picked up all that garbage. And that's really exciting to see too.
Yeah, and so I guess what are some of these initiatives with this athletic department? So you talked about like sponsoring, you talked about getting some of the student government people to go and attend. What are some of these other things that you guys are doing to help with these student athletes, and maybe what are some of these things that they're struggling with that you guys have helped with?
Well, attendance at those sporting events. And I actually have a meeting with Riley on Monday, like 9 in.
Oh, which is like nighttime for you.
Yeah, which is nighttime. Yeah, it'll be my advocate lunch
Almost
right
your
after.
bedtime.
Yeah, so we have a meeting with Riley on Monday, and one of the things we're going to talk about at the University of Cincinnati, they have an app for their sporting events, and I still have to get more information on it, but it's like the University of Cincinnati student superfan. And so they can geo-track like what events you're going to, if you're going to a softball match, and they'll see if you're in the stadium at that time, and you'll get certain points that help add points to your overall account balance, and you can use those points to get different rewards and prizes. Because how cool would it be to see who's the Iowa State superfan?
Yeah, who's been everywhere.
Yeah, who's been everywhere. But that also might incentivize people to go to these events, and they're really fun. They're really cool, and so it could incentivize people to go to these events that they might not otherwise go to, which is all great for our women's sports on campus.
Yeah, and these are like I said, it's nice that you guys are dipping your hands into every single group of people that you guys could be interacting with, and I think it's really inspiring that you guys are giving a voice to all of these people. What are some of the other things that you guys are doing this semester?
Well, I mean, just kind of going back to the student athletes for a brief second, is I do think that's part of it too, is putting different groups of people in more of a driver's seat when it comes to policy. And so Martin talked about that Board of Regents kickoff we did. First of its kind, we were incredibly proud to have done that. But it was a really neat opportunity for us to also invite these student orgs, but then also student athletes as well. And so you had a different athlete from all these major sports representing, the needs of student athletes when it comes to the way academic policy is considered both at a university and a state level. Because, I mean, we talked to all sorts of different student athletes. And when it comes to, traveling through all these different time zones and going to all these different competitions, flexibility becomes a big thing. And so it's like, how can we make sure their needs are being considered in policy too? And I mean, just kind of broadly speaking to the way that we're trying to understand the needs of students, which is I kind of think plays in your question a little bit, is we're really excited to be launching the student government polling program. And so we're working with the Office of the Registrar right now about how this is going to work. And so the idea is, we're sending out this basic monthly poll, right, to a random sample of Iowa State students to ask, what do you think about this resource or this event? Or are you aware of this, grant, for instance, that's available to you? And trying to understand where students are, so when we're making decisions, we're kind of considering that broader perspective as well.
And it's where does your money go? That's the big thing, because you get student government gets a student fee, $49 a semester, $98 a year. And when we were campaigning, one of the big questions we asked is, what does student government do for you? And a lot of people were like, we have student government. What? That's crazy. We have a student government. What do you do for me? And right now we allocate all of that money, and that's awesome. But a lot of people don't know about that. And so we want to figure out, well, okay, is it because we haven't been able to market ourselves properly? And we're doing an amazing job marketing this year. Students know who we are. We had our Welcome Back campaign too, where we put A-frame posters all over campus, and it said, student government needs leaders like you. We had over 200 students scan the QR code, fill out the form, that are interested in student government. We still have a full cabinet, which is incredibly impressive. We have an almost full Senate. We have at-larges on all sorts of committees in student government. It's been pretty incredible to see, and it's a testament to all the hard work that our team's doing this year. And so making sure that people are aware of student government is a big part of it. But with that poll, it's okay, do you know student government exists? And if so, like, what can we do to better connect with you? Because we're only as strong as an organization when we know what Iowa State University students are thinking. Because it's our goal and it's our job to represent their interests when we go and have those meetings with university administrators, and to have more concrete evidence and say, this is what students are thinking. It only furthers our cause and our case when we go and have those meetings. So that's a big deal for us. And it's okay, do you feel like you're getting a lot of outreach events from student government? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then it's okay, we need to increase our outreach events. Do you want to see more money going to supporting student organizations on campus? And if so, do you want that to come from student government? Yeah, okay, I do. But and people also have the opportunity to answer other questions that we're going to put on there, like, do you want to see X vendor around Ames?
i.e. Canes.
I don't know. I don't know if we're allowed to put Canes specifically, but are you looking at more of a chicken place that's open 7 days a week?
If there was a Canes, how many days a week would you?
How many days a week? Yeah.
How many days
5
a week
through
do you
7.
want
That's the
chicken?
range.
Do you want a restaurant on campus that has chicken fingers, Texas toast, crinkle cut fries,
Yeah,
and
and
cane
amazing
sauce?
Bro,
but no vendor in particular.
Yeah, everyone listening to this is now just going to be super hungry for Canes.
Well, I'll tell you what. Fill out that form, message the mayor, put that you want a Raising Canes in Ames, and we'll take it to City Council. And we'll take it to the Ames Economic Alliance. And every meeting that we have with university administrators on campus, we'll talk about the Raising Canes. So if you really want a Raising Canes, fill out the message the mayor form and let us know what you're thinking.
And this is such a wonderful point. Other than maybe particularly Raising Canes, what are some of the responses? What are students saying? What do they want? What are some of the responses that they were putting in these QR codes?
A lot of broad input as far as, I'd like my parking fines to be less. I'd like to see, more cleanliness in whatever area. Maybe there's a pothole in some specific area, that a student wants to see fixed. But that was actually really interesting. To be an architecture student who was working on a project where they had to design a building. And so they actually reached out through our form to the city councilors and said, what sort of building would you want to see in Ames? And they were able to have a direct conversation there. I don't know what the exact building ended up looking like, what their plans were like, but they ended up being able to have a dialogue with the city council so that when they were working on this school project, it actually was something that would be useful to the city. And that was a really neat thing to see there.
Yeah, and that's super awesome. And those specific things that you guys get to do for students, as opposed to maybe some of those larger things that they're looking for, it's really cool that you get to help students on an individual basis. What about these parking fines? I know that originally one of your guys' platform points was talking about this, and I'd really love to hear how that turned out.
Absolutely. So that's something that was a big effort of ours and continues to be, is the parking ticket relief program. So that's actually been something that was about 2 years in the making because of how long it took to actually kind of set it up, make sure the logistics were working and everything. But the idea is we're hoping to launch this beginning of next semester. We're talking right now with Health and Wellness, or Student Wellness rather, and SHOP to figure out exactly what our launch date's going to be. But the idea is maybe you get a parking ticket and it's hard to pay for that week, right? You're having to make a decision between, hey, buying this number of meals or paying for this ticket I did not expect to be paying. And so the idea is you can actually work. It looks like it's going to be 2 or 3 hours at SHOP. It kind of depends on your situation. But you'll be able to work a brief amount of hours at SHOP, and we'll pay off your ticket. And so it really is trying to give students that second break that second chance, that break when it comes to some of these unexpected, tickets and things like that, those unexpected expenses that you're not prepared to pay necessarily. I know I've gotten parking tickets at Iowa State that I was like, oh, wow, that was not intentional at all.
Yeah.
We all make those kind of mistakes, right? And so it's kind of a neat thing where we're fighting food insecurity. We're able to give SHOP more of a volunteer base. And the idea is you'd be volunteering, I believe it's the first Tuesday of every month on their shipment days. And so they can never have too many people on those days because it's so hard to actually stock the shelves when they get all these big shipments in. And so being able to give them a larger volunteer base, and the idea is maybe, I'm volunteering this once to pay off my ticket, but then we'll give you more resources. Maybe it's something that I really, identify with. I really enjoy volunteering, kind of making sure we get repeat volunteers for SHOP. So it's kind of this neat thing where we're taking any measure we can in student government to make college a little bit more affordable for you and also fight food insecurity at the same time.
It's not meant to be a program where people abuse it. It's a one-time ticket, and then you're able to work it off at SHOP. And that's what's so great, and that's what Quinn talked about. How, okay, maybe I'm in there because I got a parking ticket, and, all right, this is, I just got to do it. But you come in and you say, oh, wow, this is a really welcoming environment. These are great people that I get to work with. They're passionate about food insecurity on campus, and they want to serve Iowa State University students. It's pretty incredible. It's a student-run food pantry on campus that continues to expand. And we're really proud in student government that we're able to support them. Over $50,000 a year we give SHOP, and all of that is to combat food insecurity on campus. And so let's say you go in and Elijah, you get a parking ticket. Okay, you just didn't read the sign, and it's just you're like, oh my God, my day's ruined. I don't know if I can afford this. And you say, okay, well, I'm going to work it off, and I'm going to go to SHOP. And I go in, and it's like, oh, it's so welcoming, and I really enjoy it. And you go, well, you know what? I kind of want to go here again. And that's how you start something. How do you start something? You do it once. And then you do it the second time, you do it the third time, and it's because you actually enjoy and really enjoy doing it. And so we're very proud of that program. It's been great leadership, not only by Quinn, but also our student senate.
Yeah, and I imagine that the people working at SHOP are just really excited about this program. They're really excited to get this influx of volunteers because, like you said, there is no shortage of people getting tickets that they did not prepare for. But a lot of preparation going into stuff. I know that you guys had a big platform about Prep Week and what that looked like. And so I'd love to hear what that's going on and then what your guys' platform on that is.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a really fascinating topic. That's something Martin and I have been talking about for a couple of years because whether you're looking at international or transfer students or just new students who are freshmen, and I know I kind of had this experience myself, is you go into prep week and you expect it to be, oh, I'm going to have a couple days where maybe I don't have to go to class, I don't have to do my projects, whatever that looks like. I'll have some real predictable time to study. That's not really what it is in practice, right? I mean, I know I was in Econ 101. We were taking, I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday was our class schedule that my freshman year. We took a quiz each day, quizzes being 40% of our class grade collectively. I know people in all sorts of different colleges that are doing projects and submitting homework assignments and have these big essays and all these things that are due. And so that's what we're asking students, is kind of what's your experience about that and how can we help make it a little bit more of a break for you? And so we've been working very closely with Faculty Senate. That's the group at Iowa State that actually deals with academic policy when you're looking at a university level. And so we've been working with the Faculty Senate and President Parsa. He's the person who leads the Faculty Senate, as well as Rachel Frost. She's our Director of Academic Affairs, so she's kind of like our liaison to the Faculty Senate. And we've had a lot of great conversations about them. And what we're really looking to do is make it so that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, because you already don't have to do exams during Thursday or Friday in prep week, but that extra 3 days, you don't have to take exams. Because professors really do enjoy having homework and quizzes and these sorts of things as progress checks. But how can we make it so that, during this time when there's maybe the most stress that you have during your semester, you don't have to be going to the testing center for an extra, 2 times? How do we make sure you get a little bit more time to do your homework? How do we make sure you have a little bit less stress? And we actually talked with someone, director of the Student Success Center, about how that'll actually have really positive impacts on student health when you're looking at mental health or just stress in general. And so that's something we're really excited. We're kind of finishing our proposal right now, and then it'll be voted on by the whole Faculty Senate. But things are looking great right now. And the idea is, how do we make prep week a little bit more like what you expect, which is something of a break?
Yeah, and so I know that a lot of academic programs are totally different. So like, for instance, the College of Design has a lot of like day-long projects that they're working on. So how does this influence their work and the stuff that they're doing?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And so what we really tried to do before we made any commitments as far as what this would look like is talk to people in a range of majors and a range of colleges. And like you said, College of Design, they have a lot of projects. And I know in different design majors, specifically I think graphic design is one of these, and as is architecture, but you're looking at projects that are due during prep week, and then you don't actually have anything during finals week. And so that, kind of gives you a little bit more time if you're a design student, so you're not taking more tests during, finals week. And so that's why specifically we're looking at getting rid of exams. We're not looking at getting rid of projects. So if you really like this system where you're doing your projects now, you're getting it all out of the way, we're not taking that away. I just want to make that really clear. But the idea of, during prep week, oh, I have to go to the exam on Monday or go to the testing center on Monday. I have to go on Wednesday, and I'll take 2-hour-long exams. You shouldn't have to do that while you're studying.
We hope you're enjoying this episode of the Iowa State of Things podcast. Please consider helping us out or supporting us in any way that you can by subscribing, liking, all of that good stuff. And if you are the president of a club on campus, please consider reaching out to us for a feature on our show. Keep enjoying the episode with Martin and Quinn. So yeah, you guys have been doing a lot of awesome stuff. You're working on this academic program. You're doing stuff for prep week. What does the future look like for you guys? What are some of the stuff that you're working on and you're excited about maybe for next semester?
One of the really cool things that we're working on is, especially with Quinn and our director, Adam Harrington of Health and Wellness for Student Government, is our implementation of our sexual violence prevention plan. So last year, the plan was put together by the then director, Anna Spahn, and there's a couple of steps in it. One is making sure that we have a plan, seeing what that plan looks like, then implementation of that. And so what we want to do is, and that's what we've already done, is we started out with Green Flags training. Iowa State Student Government was the first student organization at Iowa State to go through the Green Flags training, and we're very proud of that. And now it's expanding that and making sure that more student organizations are aware of Green Flags training at Iowa State. And so alongside Quinn and Director Harrington's leadership, they've now began reaching out to student organizations on campus and letting them know that we have Green Dot and then we also have Green Flags. And so now some student organizations are going to go through that Green Flags and Green Dot training. We actually have a Green Dot training coming up within student government. So we're continuing to further our education on sexual violence prevention. That's a really big deal for us. And it's important that more student organizations go through that very essential training that Iowa State offers. And I want to be very clear too, that that's completely free. The training's at no cost. And they try and make it as quick, but make sure that you cover all the important material as much as possible. So it's really a great training, and all students should go through it at Iowa State.
Sure. I mean, I think Martin says it exactly right, too. And I think, when we talk to a lot of students about this, they ask kind of what's the difference between Green Dot, which I think you alluded to, and then Green Flags. So people are like, oh, do you mean Green Dot? It's actually this new exciting thing that students haven't had accessible before, is that student wellness is actually providing this new thing, Green Flags. And so Green Dot, which a lot of students have taken, if you're, in your sophomore year above, you've probably taken it some sort of different organization. That's looking at bystander intervention, and that's incredible. We really hope that training, students continue to take it. But when you add on Green Flags, that's kind of teaching students a more holistic view of what consent looks like. And so that's kind of more of a preventative approach instead of just a reactive bystander approach. And so kind of combining those two trainings really gives you a great perspective as a student about what you can be doing to prevent some of these things on campus and what we can be doing as a student body to prevent assaults on campus. And so like Martin was talking about, is Adam and I are sending out those emails to student orgs to say not only here's what this training is, give them a little bit of an explanation, but give them the link where it's super easy to sign up for a training. And like Martin was talking about, it's very simple. It can be a 10-minute thing at the beginning of your club meeting, right? But clubs are an incredible network we have to disseminate this information. So if there's anyone listening who's in a club, in a student organization, and you received an email from a guy named Quinn that you're not really familiar with, please open that email and check it out. We'd love for your club to get involved.
He's not too bad, I swear.
Yeah, I don't
Just
buy
like a touch, but not.
Yeah, yeah, and that's really exciting too. The stuff that you guys are doing for the future, and it's really nice that you guys are completing maybe a piece of that puzzle, and you guys are really expanding the research on that, and the awareness of stuff like that too. I know that another one of you guys' big platform points and something that we maybe haven't seen enough yet of is this Know Your Leaders thing that you guys talked about. How's that going, and what is that, and where are you guys in that process?
Well, the Know Your Leaders, and thank you for the question. The Know Your Leaders is such an exciting project that we're working on. It's one of the platform points that Quinn and I ran on this past year, and it's going to be another platform point that we complete. Our goal this year is to complete all of our platform points, and I'm confident that we will. And so the Know Your Leaders Town Hall series is where students in February, on each Tuesday of the week, will have the opportunity to go to a lecture. And we're still working on exactly who we want there and to be presenting. But one of the first ideas that we had is the Office of Student Financial Aid. And so students are able to come in. They're going to be able to better understand the Office of Student Financial Aid, the financial aid opportunities that they may have on campus, because we want to decrease what the cost of going to college is. That's our goal. And that's one of the things that we're doing with our workforce grants and sending out all that information to students. And so another thing that we're able to do is the Know Your Leaders Town Hall series, and we're going to invite different administrators there. They'll be able to give their perspective, and then students have the opportunity to give their perspective. And it's really important that administrators know that what students are thinking on campus, because it helps better inform their decisions, because administrators care, man. they're really passionate about helping Iowa State University students, and it's been so incredible working with it because there really is a community at Iowa State, and we want to see big positive changes on campus. And being able to know what people are thinking is how you inspire a lot of those changes.
Yeah, and I think our leadership team, I've met a lot of these people, and I presume you guys have met like all of them. A lot of the leaders here really care about what's going on. They're really knowledgeable, and they want to express this stuff to students. So I think that it's really cool that you're giving them an opportunity to hear from them.
And they're very excited. They care about students, they care about what's happening on campus, and they want to work with student government. We're only as strong as our partnerships, and we recognize that. That's why we've tried to build up our partnerships. Earlier this year, we sent out 142 letters to key university administrators and stakeholders on campus. Every single faculty senate member got a letter from us. Board of Regents members, they all received letters from Quinn and myself. And the reason why we sent those letters out in the first place is because we want them to know, hey, okay, number one, student government's here, what we do, who we represent, and how passionate we are about the students that we do represent and the work that we want to see done this year. And so that's a big deal for us because we're only as strong as our partnerships, and we recognize that at student government.
But I mean, I think the Know Your Leaders too is really exciting because it plays into this broader belief that Martin and I have, which is yes, student government is here to represent students, but at the same time, if you're a student, you should have the ability to sit down with the people that are making decisions. You should have the ability to actually understand why these decisions are being made, kind of cutting out the middleman. So like message the mayor. How can we get students involved in the community polling program? How can we get students involved with our own decision making in student government? And then Know Your Leaders is how can we make sure that you're aware of what's going on at a university level and that you feel like you're being heard, you feel like you're being understood.
Yeah, and I think that's a really wonderful point to kind of thematically talk about what you guys have been doing. You guys have added so much communication on campus. You guys have added so much conversation. And most importantly, you're just letting students know what's going on, whether it be through social media, whether it be through strict branding with the way that you guys dress, with the way you guys operate. When it comes to opening these alleyways of communication for different leaders on campus, everything that you guys are doing is just broadening communication, and I think that that's been really awesome with your platform points.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I know Quinn does too, but I want to stress this is a student government-wide effort. It's not just two people that are making this happen. I mean, even yourself, Elijah, that you're being part of student government now, and we're so grateful to have you in this position. We have great directors. We have incredible directors. Eric Brown, one of our directors of PR, has done an incredible job with that. And that's a big part of getting that communication out, rebranding. Right now, we're going through an entire rebranding of student government, and we're putting together all of our design things, and there's students that are helping us do that. And then we have great directors in other places, too. We talked about some of the initiatives that we're working on, if it's academic affairs, making sure that more international students have visibility on campus. So that's the great work that our directors are doing, and every single director is great too, and I'm so grateful that I get to work with these individuals. But we also have incredible senators, a great Senate leadership. Our vice speaker and speaker are absolutely fantastic, and we have a strong Supreme Court. And that's what's kind of funny about the Supreme Court. You don't really hear a lot about them, but that's typically a good thing, right?
Yeah.
When stuff goes to the Supreme Court, you're like, oh man, well, this is not great. And so, just having a quiet Supreme Court just shows the cohesive unit that we are in student government and the great work that we're doing. And so it's a student government-wide effort, and I want to emphasize that. It just shows the culture that we're trying to build again in student government, and culture is everything. We're trying to be professional, and we are professional right now. We want to be on top of the work that we're doing, and we're passionate. We're so passionate. I had a meeting with Alex Palin, who's one of the student government senators representing the engineering college. And so he has great IT background and really passionate about web development. And so he's been working really hard alongside our director of IT, Danny Pillar, on making our website even better. We launched a brand new website this year, and it's really cool because that was a really sore spot in student government and a black eye, if you will, over the last couple of years. And we have a brand new website that looks incredible. It helps us better connect with students, and that's a big reason why we have a website in the first place. And so because of their leadership, our website has looked so much better. And we had a meeting the other day where we recorded this video. Now it's the first video that you see when you click our website, and it looks incredible. And again, he's just so passionate and fired up about all the work that we're doing in student government. And that's so exciting to see. You can see people that are excited about student government. He goes, yeah, I go to class now, and when I'm in class and I'm learning about all these web development things, I go, how can I apply that to our website? That's the best mentality to have. How can I make our student government website better? How can I make our student government senate better? How can I make our cabinet better? And that's what we're committed to doing, is because I believe every single day we can get better. And that's why we're just about to send our student government feedback form. And so it's an internal feedback form, which will allow student government members to submit feedback on how we can be better. we can always be better. I wholeheartedly believe that, and that's what we're working on doing.
Yeah, and I think the passion is really important. And I think a lot of the people listening to this who remember you guys when you were campaigning, one of your most passionate points was the free concert that was going to be coming to campus. And I just, I know a lot of people are going to be listening. They're like, when are they going to talk about the concert? When is it going to happen? And I want to give you guys an opportunity to update maybe some of the people about the exciting stuff that you're doing for the concert.
We've been working Elijah, I love the question. I appreciate the question. We've worked so hard on the concert. There's so much more information to come. And I want to get on the rooftops and scream out all the information that we have about it. We're just not at that point yet where we can publicly announce it. But I can tell you what, stay tuned for the Iowa State of Things podcast, and we'll probably have a special announcement in the not so distant future.
Really exciting. Quinn, Martin, it was super awesome having you guys on. And if there's one message that you guys want to give to the public to round this episode off, really the platform is yours, and you guys are good to just talk us out.
Know that, one, student government's here. We absolutely are. Two, that we work incredibly hard to represent the interests of Iowa State University students. We want to always know how we can better serve you. So I encourage you to go to our website, fill out the Message to the Mayor form, submit your feedback to the City of Ames. Whatever you can do to let us know is always going to help us and better serve you. And then if you want to get involved in student government, go to our website, click the Get Involved tab, fill out a form, and our director of outreach will reach out to you. We want you to be involved in student government. We want to better represent you, and we're here to serve you.